Hey, and welcome to Geopolitics 411. On this episode, we are looking at the war in Congo, or even conflicts, depending on how you like to look at it. So if you've been following this story, you know by now this conflict has been going on for the last, say, 3 weeks, a month now. That is actively, but of course it's been going on for quite a long time. But actively, it's been going on for, say, a month now. There are many things that are happening. Of course, you know, Bukavu was taken over by M23 and other cities. But the question is, will these peace negotiations that are being pushed by the Angola peace process, by the East African community, is it something that's going to materialize? That's something everyone is hoping and praying that it happens. Number two, of course, you know, this whole war is funded by the West. Will they agree to pull out and just let Africa be? Question, something to watch. Three, all these interested parties that are in this war, if, for instance, they decide, fine, let's end it, what are their interests and how will their interests be balanced? Bottom line, the biggest interest is what is available in Congo, and that is the minerals that every party that is involved is fighting for. So even member states of EAC, fine, they want to have peace, but there is always a hidden agenda. It's never as straight up as we think, oh, Kenya wants Congo to enjoy peace, or Rwanda wants, no. It's never that straight up. There's always the behind the scenes. And the behind the scenes is the value everyone gets. So unfortunately, that's the cost for war in Congo. And I feel like that is just going to happen until, sadly, it might happen until they have taken everything away from Congo. But if we are able as humans to reason and work, then we can achieve peace before at least we lose, so that we can transform this country from people with the wealthiest in terms of minerals, but the poorest in terms of human beings. So the peace negotiations will be coming possibly through both the Angola and the EAC process. But my concern is what happens next. So the M23 will demand, which is of course Rwandan-backed, will demand to get some of the lands to pull out of Congo. I'm not sure if Congo itself wants that, or will even allow even a piece or even a quarter of an acre of land that has these minerals to be taken away. But for peace to come, that is one of the possibilities. And that is something we look at and logically speaking, should not be happening, but that's the cost of war. Two, there could be a referendum in Goma to get another election and get a new leader, because it seems Felix Tshisekedi has failed to unite Congo, has failed to protect Congo, and has failed to be the sovereign leader that can transform that nation. So when you're in that space of politics, it means the possibilities of guys coming together and saying, no, this has to end. And one of the ways is to get this leader out of power, put someone else, and remove. That's a very big chance. Remember, the Catholic Church is very big in Congo, and the bishops of Congo have called for, in 2017, they actually went for demonstrations and called for elections. So again, we could see the Catholic Church in Congo maybe decide to do the same. I mean, it's a possibility that we can't rule out. So that is something also to watch out. And I don't know how, if Felix is actually thinking about this, and if he's thinking about it, if he's looking for solutions. Because bottom line, everyone will say you have failed to stabilize this country. So if you can't stabilize the nation as a president, then what happens? Get out, let's get someone who can stabilize. Another option is there could be a creation of a federal republic by Rwanda for the captured regions. So if for instance, Rwanda is able to capture, let's say, I'm not giving, by the way, don't come at me saying, I am saying it will be. I'm just saying possibilities. So if, for instance, they captured Goma, because what they could do is create it as a federal state, then they can control it, of course, from Rwanda. I'm not sure Paul Kagame wants to go that direction, but in politics, you can never, ever rule out everything. So that's a possibility. So how else, speaking of the West, what are the other possibilities? There's a new scramble for Africa, and it is evident. We've seen the French, we've seen the US, we've seen everyone. And in the recent years, we've seen the East also come in Africa, because again, some of the biggest mining companies in Congo are Chinese. There's a new entrance, and that a new entrance has been the Russians. So the Russians have also decided to come in this war. So at the very least, I feel like the West will really get to push for this fight with Russia in this region, specifically so that they can get control of these minerals. Because at the end of the day, these guys have no other interest in Africa, by the way. Their goal is to come, if they can get minerals and get business or trading, whichever way you look at it, it works. So Russia's President Vladimir Putin seems to be courting South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa. Remember, the South African soldiers are part of the peacekeepers now in Congo. I mean, some of them were sadly killed during this war, but still, these are the guys that have been watching this space. So Ramaphosa is a friend of Putin. And just so you see the bigger picture, South Africa is a member of BRICS. So you see, these are trade partners essentially. So maybe Putin and Ramaphosa could be promising Putin how they can do business using Congo as a member state, or even using, depending on how they agree. So having a say as a member of BRICS, that means trade. Number two, Russia's president again is a friend of Zimbabwe's president, Emerson Mnangagwa. And you remember last year when we had, it was called the Russian African Summit, Mnangagwa was actually in attendance. So if he's already trying to get his footing in the BRICS space, that means there is maybe trade. And of course, you know, there's minerals in Zimbabwe. So all these SADC members will probably want to trade with BRICS nations. And of course, the BRICS nations are probably closer at the moment, or the leader who they are close with is Putin. At the moment, something else that has been happening is Ramaphosa is at a war of words with US President Donald Trump. And this is again over what Trump signed the executive order to cut US financial assistance in South Africa, citing disapproval of the new Land Expropriation Act. South Africa Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe responded to Trump's comments by saying there was a mining conference that was happening, and he responded in that conference by saying that the country should withhold its minerals if the US don't give us money. So it's a tit for tat. You don't want to give us money that supports the HIV programs? Okay, we will not sell you our minerals. And you know what South Africa trades with they're actually the biggest trader with US in Africa. Do you know what they trade with South Africa exports to the US? They have a variety of minerals, and that includes platinum, iron, and manganese. So if you look at it critically, in my opinion, again, I feel the whole idea of Trump trying to say, oh, South Africa is taking land from people, blah, blah, blah. All this nonsense is geared towards Trump wanting to have the biggest control of this land through his cronies in Africa. Of course, Elon Musk, who is his key campaign person and advisor, is South African. So of course he has friends who own lands in South Africa. So they want, knowing that the value they get from South Africa, they want to ensure they can have the biggest chunks of land so that they can get these minerals. And of course that is why Ramaphosa, on the other hand, has said, no, we as South Africa are not going to let that happen. And our laws have gone through the process of testing, and we know what we are doing. So on the ground, I applaud Ramaphosa for fighting for his people, because you should never allow someone to come and galvanize you simply because you trade with him. So basically, this guy just knows we have trade with South Africa, but he wants more, which is unfortunate. I mean, can't we just let Africa be at some point Trump, really? Anyway, so the other issue will be the West, through European Union, is funding the conflict in Congo, of course, to keep control so that Putin does not get welcome in Congo. You know, there were mercenaries that were fighting, and the question is, who was funding these mercenaries? Of course, it is the West. So the West, knowing that Putin is getting a ground in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and the larger SADC region, and probably knowing that this SADC region trades with Central Africa, which has the area, some parts, Central and East Africa, where we have the likes of Congo, what will they do? They will destabilize the space so that then Putin can't find his space, so that he does not trade. I mean, these are things that happen on the global space that maybe a lot of people miss out, but that is how the world works, unfortunately. Will the EAC and SADC members work together for Africa amid the diplomatic tiffs that happen across here? That's something as Africans we can hope and pray, because if we see the larger picture as Africans, we shall be lucky to have a united Africa that trades as one with very strong economic power. So for EAC, of course, the question is, what are our interests in Congo? Who do we trade with? Congo, Rwanda, like who adds value? You see, like now as the president of Kenya maybe may question, fine, who's our friend here? Maybe both of them are our friends. But for you to take a side, you take a side based on the value you get. So between Rwanda and Congo, where do you stand? Maybe Congo would have more value because they have the minerals. But the question is, do they have the administrative level of sanity that can help? No. Okay. What if we then side with Rwanda? What happens? We side with Rwanda, what happens? Rwanda maybe... this is a possibility, again, I'm saying. Maybe if Rwanda is able to get parts of these lands that have minerals, what happens now if they own them? It means then Kenya can trade. So these are scenarios I'm giving. I'm not saying this is what is going to happen. I'm just giving you scenarios and possibilities. So Kenya can also choose to work with Rwanda because they feel Rwanda is a more stable country. If Rwanda takes, let's say, parts of these lands that have these minerals, then it is easier for Kenya to trade with a more stable country than a country that is unstable. So those are some of the things that influence these decisions on this top level. And of course, for us as citizens, mostly we never get to know. As we will look at the humanity side of it, oh, it is right. But countries and leaders look at different things, unfortunately. So SADC, of course, what are their interests? Trade. It's big, and that's why they even offer to have their soldiers as peacekeepers, because if you can trade with a country that holds the biggest amount of minerals in the world, you have a chance. So if you're able to stabilize that nation, it means you would have better trades and more value. So those are some of the things. So who will win this time? Will Africa fight for its people and interests? Only time will tell. Our very good friend and Pan-Africanist PLO supports BRICS. Very interesting. He's in support of BRICS as a unit of de-dollarization. But he also has very sentimental feeling towards, I feel, this is my opinion again, but he expresses, of course, he has very good sentiments towards Rwanda. So where will the pendulum swing for him in this? Actually, we shall pose that question to PLO and find out what he thinks. The final person and the key world leader at the moment, President Trump, of course. Which side will he lean? Do you think he will lean on peace? From the way he has dealt with the Russian-Ukraine war, I don't think he's looking for peace. Evidently, President Trump is transactional. So he will lean on the side where he gets value for the United States. And the value, of course, comes with trade. At the end of the day, humanity is supposed to be top, but the way we live in a capitalistic world, everyone considers business or trade as the biggest. So those are the possibilities I feel will be happening in Congo and this whole M23 scenario. Yeah, you can share with me in the comment section what you think about and how you think this whole pendulum will swing, and actually your opinion on this whole thing. Because we are just being critical, we're not taking sides, and bottom line, we actually want Congo to experience peace and to know peace, because these are human beings we're dealing with. These are not animals. Even animals deserve good life. And of course, when there is war, even animals don't enjoy. But we want the best for Congo, especially even now that they are closer. They're even our neighbors, and the best for Africa at large. Yeah. Thanks for watching to this, and remember to subscribe. See you on the next episodes.